Welcome to the Think Governance podcast channel, where we unpack governance questions at a deeper level to directors that help boards become more effective and agile, ultimately leading to better business.
Hi everyone, today I have the absolute pleasure of chatting to Wiseman Nkuhlu, who just recently celebrated his 80th birthday. So that's a career of over 50 years of making a difference. Wiseman is a life member of the IoDSA, a Chartered Director SA, and in fact, former chairman of the Chartered Director SA governing body. He's a chartered accountant by profession and was the first African chartered accountant in South Africa. He's president of SAICA's Unite for Mzansi movement, former chancellor of the University of Pretoria, served on many boards, including Metropolitan, DBSA, Standard Bank, Old Mutual, Tongaat Hewlett, BMW, Anglo Gold Ashanti, and the list goes on. And he's received the Grand Council of the Baobab Award from the presidents for his excellent contributions to the African Renaissance, amongst many other awards that he's received. Wiseman, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure as well to be doing something with IoD. One of my best years when I was there as serving on the Chartered Director Trustees Board.
Absolutely, and what a difference you made in this quest of ours to professionalize directorship.
Thank you very much.
So over your long and illustrious career, what are some of the things that make you most proud?
Wow, probably quite a number of things. It's difficult to choose. But of course, qualifying as a chartered accountant gave me a lot of personal pleasure. It was a goal that I set for myself. Achieving it was hard, but really it was very pleasing. After that, the second major challenge was to attract other talented young Black males, males and females, to really join me in my firm, to be article clerks to me, and also look for those who were doing well in accounting. One, because I had gone to Mthatha to start a department of accounting, which was a branch of the University of Fort Hare. So I was looking for talent in my classroom. I was looking for talent also to article. But really the second greatest pleasure was to get the first two of them qualifying as chartered accountants in 1981. That was a great pleasure because I had set myself this goal of saying my success was just the beginning. And then, of course, after that, working with SAICA on one hand to really get Tutuka on the go, much as I was not a leader of that, gave me a lot of satisfaction. And then really of late, being recognized by the profession, both the Institute of Directors and SAICA, has been of special significance to me. It was quite an honor to be invited to be one of the founders of the Chartered Director designation. As you know, we worked on that a number of years and it's well established now. On SAICA, the big thing, both on SAICA actually, are also in my capacity as a director. Being invited in 2009 to really join an international advisory committee that was set up to investigate whether accounting standards, especially fair value accounting, had contributed in deepening the financial crisis, 2008, to be the only person from Africa sitting on that. I would say, of all the things I've done, that appointment made me think very deeply about the accounting profession, about auditing, about the role of auditors, and really it just changed my whole attitude. I took it much more seriously than the cases that I'd taken my role as a director and also as a chartered accountant from 2009 onwards.
So you talked about your role on the CDSA governing body, and one of the things we've tried to advocate for over the years is that directorship should be seen as a profession like any other, where people are vetted and tested and they need to keep up to date, they need to do CPD, they need to sign a code of conduct, etc. Why do you think it's so important for us to professionalize directorship?
Yes. I mean, it's very important that directorship be professionalized. Remember that for society to trust directors, the fact that the public gets to understand that directors go through a process of measuring their competence and also their commitment to high standard of ethics, and also their understanding of their role to serve the public. Those things are very important. I think it gives the public much more confidence in directors. If the public gets to understand that directors are evaluated, their competences, commitment to high standard, to these principles, values, and so on, is tested. It's only those people who have undergone that test that are allowed to be directors. As you remember, actually, this was of specific significance in 2009, because what the financial crisis did, among other things, was to really get the public to question the competence of directors, their vigilance as really the fulfilling their oversight role over the executives. Because what the crisis revealed was that companies had engaged in excessive risk-taking, and then the directors just failed to actually take a stand and really question and push back on the risks that the executives were taking. So realizing all those things, I think it was a good thing that we in South Africa would respond the way that we responded. We really say, among other things, we can't just allow the situation, because now any Dick and Tom can be just a director. But really, if we are going to be trusted by the public to really fulfill our oversight responsibilities, there must be a way in which we tell the public that we test, we measure the competencies and suitability of individuals to actually serve as directors.
Absolutely agreed with you, and it aligns to some of the comments I made to the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee now recently on the Companies Bill, where I said the Companies Act actually is very light on what the requirements are to be a director. Apart from the disqualification criteria which are there, the bar is still set way too low in my opinion, where anyone can be appointed regardless of their affiliation, regardless of their knowledge, skills, whether they've kept up to date, and are held by a code of conduct, held to account. Do you think we're doing enough in the South African landscape to hold directors accountable? We've only seen one case of delinquency in the last couple of years, yet our perception is that there are many other directors who haven't done the right thing. Do you think enough has been done in our system?
Yes, we need to do more. And also the public should be much more vigilant and support organizations that like the IoD, SAICA, and others. Because if the public continues to accept individuals who have no qualifications, who are not certified directors, who are not chartered directors to serve on their board, I think that's the first thing. If possibly that could be a requirement of the Companies Act, and so on, that this now be a requirement. And after that, the issue of continuing development, CPT, be insisted on. So we can do much more than we are doing that. Possibly some of the requirements, because people take the Companies Act very seriously. So if some of those requirements are stipulated in the Companies Act, it would make a big difference. But of course, we as professional organizations, I think we should do more in terms of taking swift action when there's evidence of a member failing to uphold the requisite ethical standards. it shouldn't take forever for one to be suspended, as as a member of IoD or as a member of SAICA and so on. So it has been a source of frustration for me that sometimes people that we know that there's overwhelming evidence of wrongdoing, but then they continue to serve on our boards, and of course the public asks the question, what is IoD doing? What is SAICA doing? So really we could do more to take swift action when there's evidence and really suspend and then and make it clear when people join that if there's evidence of this kind, these are the steps that the professional organization would take against it.
Certainly, and every professional body, I think, is thinking along those lines, right? Their duty towards the public interest. And we certainly at the IoD have strengthened our disciplinary regulations in the last couple of years and have a number of cases underway and look to strengthen that over time, definitely in the interests of holding people accountable. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned over your career?
Yeah, well, firstly, I say a lot since my experience with the global financial crisis, the committee on which I served, and also since my role at KPMG to lead KPMG out of that reputational crisis that the company found itself. I've thought a lot about purpose. Whether people join companies, join professional organizations, just because one studies to be a chartered accountant, one possibly aspires to be a director. For what purpose? Is it just to get the fees as a director, to get the respect of the public for being a director of a listed company? Or do people really understand the purpose of being a director? And do they understand also that they should, when they join companies, put a special emphasis on understanding its societal role, in addition to just generating revenue and making profits? For me, this thing of purpose for companies and really what they're, because every society must be there to fulfill a particular societal need. And that should be what is paramount in the minds of those who serve on oversight committees or executive those directors, not simply to say, let's make profits, let's increase revenue and make profits. Yes, those things are important for long-term sustainability, but that can't be the purpose. You are in business. You're in business because there's a need that you must fulfill, and people must be made to understand that purpose and take pride in being part of a team that really enables society to get this particular service to this company, which is important to society.
So that word purpose that you mentioned really resonates with me because, every time I'm drafting the integrated report of the IoD or we have a strategy session, I always go back to, well, what is our purpose? Even in everyday decisions that we're making, when people come to us to say, why don't we do this? Let's collaborate on that. I always try to link it back to our purpose. Otherwise, I feel it's taking us sideways. But I think apart from an organization's purpose, there's also a purpose, as you mentioned, for us individuals. So why are we serving? And I think sometimes people forget that when you're a non-executive director, you're there to serve the entity. It's not just about what reputation and glory and money and all of that for you. It's actually about serving the entity and ultimately SA Inc., right? I think, you've got so much wisdom and valuable experience over your years of corporate scars, not shying away from the difficult jobs. I know you mentioned, taking over as chair of KPMG. Now, that's not something just anyone would have put their hand up for at the point in time that you did so. What are some tips that you have for the next generation of directors?
Yes. Again, the difficult situations that I found myself dealing with in the last, I would say, 15 years from the time of the global financial crisis. The corruption in South Africa and state capture. I've thought a lot about whether, in the preparation of future leaders, especially people who grow up in South Africa in the environment that is not is characterized by a lot of wrongdoing that you read in the papers, corruption, and politicians, and so on. So in that kind of situation, I think possibly in the education or in the preparation also of professionals, young people, there should be more attention on personal mastery. Young people, if one is going to be able to survive and really be able to abide by principles and values that really are in the best interest of society, that confidence, personal confidence, the fact that you as an individual, you have full responsibility for the choices that you make, and also you are not just a product of the influences from outside that influence things that influence you. You cannot say just because my parents, as an example, don't quite behave, whether it's liquor or something else. You say you are going to, that you mustn't allow that to limit your own ambitions as a person. You must be able to say, yes, I hear these things wherever I go. People say that there's corruption and some people make money out of corruption. But really, if really I have to survive and achieve my ambitions in this environment, the first thing is being able to take control, accountability, and responsibility for my choices and the way I behave. And you do that through strengthening and nurturing your own personal mastery. In some cases, you can say it should be a strong agency, sense of agency, accepting that you are responsible for your choices. You cannot blame the environment around you. Yes, the environment can bring good and bad influences on you, but we have the willpower, endowed with the willpower to make the choices as to what you accept and what becomes part of you in terms of influencing who you become and what choices you make and how you behave in society. Personal mastery, for me, is something that we should give much more attention in preparing young people for leadership challenges going forward.
I think that's such a great message for our directors and leaders of tomorrow. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, each one of us, if we want to do things right and do the right thing, I think can make a difference to SA Inc. So Wiseman, do you have any final words for our members that you'd like to share?
Yes, I would say really, as directors, it's very, very important that we keep in our minds all the time our responsibility to serve society. That society looks on us to provide effective oversight and make sure that the companies in which the investors invest, in which workers depend for their living, in which suppliers of all kinds have connections, they depend on us as the directors to give effective oversight, to make sure that the companies are managed in a way that serves the interest of all the stakeholders of the company and all its stakeholders in a fair and equitable manner, and not allow a situation where there is, the company becomes mainly an engine or an organization for primarily serving the interests of the executives themselves. We as directors, we are the stakeholders on whom society depends. So we must never forget that for all the time, we make sure that we are well prepared, we have the requisite knowledge for the industry in which we have to work, and also we have courage to really stand for what is right at all times.
Thank you so much, Wiseman, for your time. I always enjoy chatting to you, and I'm sure our listeners have taken a lot away from this session. Two words that stick out to me that I think ring true for who you are as a person, and the one is purpose and the other is personal mastery. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Parmi.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for this channel to be alerted for future episodes.